Have you ever felt the world is too cold for kindness? Discover the true story of the last bus in Denmark. It might just change how you see life forever. A cold Danish evening. Picture this. Copenhagen, late November. The kind of cold that sneaks under your coat and whispers, "You should have stayed in bed." The streetlights throw long, tired shadows across the cobblestone, and the air smells faintly of wet leaves and distant coffee. You're on your way home, the kind of home you think about all day just to get through work. But tonight feels different, heavier, quieter, like the city's holding its breath. It's not just the cold, though your fingers disagree. It's that silent weight in your chest. Maybe you've been here before. You've tried learning English 100 times, started full of energy, then slowly watched your motivation leak away like coffee from a cracked cup. And now here you are, not just waiting for a bus, but for something, anything, to make you believe in trying again. Science has a name for this kind of mood. Your brain loves to conserve energy, especially when it senses low-reward situations. That's why, when you've been disappointed before, with language learning, with people, with life, your mind whispers, "Don't bother." It's not laziness. It's self-preservation dressed in a warm scarf. But the funny thing? The very thing your brain is trying to protect you from, the effort, the risk, is also the thing that could bring you joy again. The bus stop feels lonelier than usual. Just you, the cold bench, and the hum of the streetlights. In the distance, a neon cafe sign flickers like it's too tired to stay awake. You glance at your watch. The last bus is 20 minutes away. That's enough time for the cold to bite deeper, enough time for your thoughts to drift into places you'd rather avoid. But sometimes, when the city is this quiet, life likes to surprise you. And tonight, on this frozen Danish street, a small surprise is already making its way toward you, on 4 slow, heavy wheels. Missing the early bus. Here's the thing about missing the early bus in Denmark. It's not just an inconvenience. It's a lifestyle choice you didn't choose. You watch the taillights fade into the night, and suddenly, you're not just late. You're committed to the late-night bus experience. You tell yourself it's fine. I'll just take the last one. But in that moment, there's this tiny stab of regret because you know the last bus is its own strange ecosystem. The air inside smells like a mix of damp coats, cold metal, and leftover fast food. The passengers? A handful of strangers bound together by nothing more than bad timing. Psychologists call this the scarcity effect. When something is rare, like the last bus of the night, your brain pays extra attention. Every sound, every glance feels amplified. It's survival mode, but for small, modern inconveniences. You scan the schedule at the stop for the 5th time, not because it will change, but because it gives you the illusion of control. And that's when the what-ifs creep in. What if I'd left work earlier? What if I'd walked faster? What if I just started cycling everywhere like everyone else in Copenhagen? But then you realize the missed bus is already in the past. There's nothing to do but wait, and maybe notice the life happening around you. Across the street, a bakery's lights glow warm against the icy dark, and a man inside wipes down the counter, humming to himself. The sound doesn't reach you, but somehow you can almost hear it. You pull your scarf tighter. 20 more minutes. And then, from the corner of your eye, you notice you're not alone at the stop anymore. Unexpected company, she appears almost silently. A woman in her 60s, wrapped in a wool coat that looks older than you are. Her scarf is knitted in uneven stitches, the kind that say someone cared enough to make this by hand. She doesn't look at you right away. Instead, she stands a few feet away, gazing down the street as if the bus might appear sooner if she stares hard enough. There's something about late-night strangers at bus stops, the unspoken agreement that you're both here, together, but not together. Still, your brain starts telling its little stories. She's probably visiting her grandchildren. Or maybe she's just finished a long shift cleaning offices no one notices until they're messy. Science says we're wired for this, for filling in gaps with our own narratives. It's called the narrative bias. Your mind would rather invent meaning than sit with uncertainty. And so you watch her, just enough to feed the story you've already started writing in your head. Then she catches you looking, not in a confrontational way, more like she's gently amused. Her eyes are tired, but they have that spark, the kind that says she's seen more than she ever talks about. She gives the smallest nod. You nod back. No words yet, but the air between you shifts. Suddenly, you're not just two cold bodies waiting for public transportation. You're participants in a quiet, fleeting connection that will last only until the bus arrives. Somewhere in the distance, you hear the deep, sluggish rumble of an engine. Both of you turn toward the sound, like cats hearing a can opener. The silent ride, the bus groans to a stop, its doors opening with a sigh like it's already exhausted from the night. You both step inside, the air warmer but tinged with that unmistakable scent of wet wool and worn-out upholstery. The driver gives a polite nod, the kind of Danish acknowledgement that says, "I see you, but let's not make this a thing." You take a seat halfway down, near the window. The woman sits across the aisle, carefully setting her bag on her lap, as if it's something fragile. The bus lurches forward, and the city slides by, glowing windows, empty bike lanes, and the occasional figure hurrying home under streetlight halos. It's quiet in that oddly heavy way night buses are quiet. You hear the soft hiss of the heater, the hum of the tires on the road, and the occasional creak as the bus takes a turn. No one talks. No one checks their phone. It's as if the world outside doesn't exist, and inside, time has agreed to slow down just for you. There's actually science behind why it feels different at night. Your brain shifts into a more reflective state when sensory input is low, fewer honking cars, fewer flashing advertisements, giving you room to think about things you've been avoiding all day. And here you are on this metal capsule rolling through the Danish winter, reflecting on what, exactly? Your failed language practice? That awkward meeting at work? Or maybe just the fact that this moment feels strangely important, though you can't yet say why. The bus makes another stop, but no one gets on. You glance at the woman. She's looking out the window, her breath fogging the glass, her expression unreadable. Then, as if sensing your eyes, she turns slightly and smiles, just enough to be real, not enough to demand a conversation. And that's when it happens, the moment you don't yet realize will change the rest of the ride. A small act, it starts so simply, you almost miss it. The woman across the aisle shifts in her seat, rummaging through her bag. You assume she's looking for a tissue or maybe her keys. But then, she pulls out a small paper bag, the kind bakeries use, and gently slides it onto the empty seat next to you. You blink, confused. She tilts her head, as if to say, "Go on." Inside is a warm cinnamon bun, still fragrant despite the winter air. The smell wraps around you like a blanket you didn't know you needed. Your brain sputters.
Why?
You've never spoken to her. You've shared maybe 5 seconds of eye contact. There's no transaction here, no social rule that says she owes you this. But here it is, sugar, butter, and kindness, delivered without ceremony. Neuroscience tells us that unexpected kindness hits the brain like a surprise reward. Dopamine, oxytocin, all the feel-good chemicals light up like Christmas lights. It's why your chest feels a little warmer than the bus heater can explain. It's why the cinnamon bun feels heavier in your hands than physics allows. You want to say something, but the right words are slippery in moments like this. So instead, you offer the most sincere thank you you can manage, your voice a little softer than usual. She nods, satisfied, and turns back to the window. You take a bite. It's warm, sweet, and impossibly soft, a tiny rebellion against the cold night. And in that bite, you realize something unsettling. Maybe you've been wrong. Maybe the world isn't as cold as you thought. A few blocks later, she glances back at you. And for the first time, she speaks. The conversation, her voice is softer than you expect, like it's been resting all evening. "You missed your bus too?" she asks, her Danish accent curling gently around the words. You nod, still holding the cinnamon bun.
Yeah.
Guess it was meant to be. She chuckles, the kind of laugh that's half agreement, half secret she's not telling. "I always take the last one," she says. "It's quiet, gives me time to think." Her gaze drifts to the window again, watching the lights blur into streaks. People rush, so much here. Always somewhere else to be. But sometimes you meet someone worth slowing down for. You almost laugh. Is she talking about you? The thought feels too big, so you keep it to yourself. Instead, you ask, "Do you take it every night?" She shakes her head. "Only when I need reminding that the world isn't just noise." Then she looks at you directly. "You believe in kindness?" The question catches you off guard. It's not something people usually ask on public transport. You start to say yes, but hesitate.
Do you?
Really? After all the times people have let you down, after all the cynical headlines, after giving up on things you once cared about, is yes still the honest answer? Before you can respond, she adds, I think kindness is like learning a language. You don't get good at it by accident. You practice, even when it feels awkward, even when you don't think you're making progress. It hits you harder than you expect, not because it's profound, but because it's true. Maybe you've been practicing the wrong things: doubt, avoidance, expecting the worst. And like any skill, you've gotten better at them. The bus turns down a narrow street. She leans back, closing her eyes for a moment, as if the conversation's done. But the question stays with you, echoing louder than the engine. Arriving home, the bus slows, brakes hissing, and you realize your stop is next. Outside, your street looks almost painted, snow gathering in soft piles along the sidewalks, lamplight pooling in warm yellow circles. It's the kind of scene you'd call beautiful if you weren't so used to walking through it with your head down. You glance at the woman. She's watching you now like she knows you're about to leave. There's no rush in her expression, no goodbye in the formal sense. Just a calm, knowing look, the kind people give when they've already said everything that matters. You stand, cinnamon bun bag still in hand, and move toward the doors. The bus kneels with a low, mechanical sigh, letting you step down into the snow. The air bites your cheeks, but it doesn't feel as sharp as before. The driver closes the doors, and you watch the bus pull away, red lights disappearing into the curve of the street. For a moment, you just stand there, not moving, the cold catching in your breath. It's strange. You've arrived home countless times before, but tonight, it feels different. Neuroscientists might say you're experiencing a salience shift. Something small, an act, a word, a look, changes the way your brain tags a moment. Suddenly, the walk from the bus stop isn't just a routine, it's a continuation of something worth remembering. You push open your building's door, the familiar creak greeting you. Inside, it's warm. The smell of someone cooking drifts down the hall. You set the cinnamon bun on your kitchen table like it's a souvenir from another country, and somewhere between hanging up your coat and turning on the kettle, you realize you might have just answered her question after all. Do you still believe? Later that night, you sit by the window with a mug of tea, watching the snow collect on the empty street. The city is silent now, save for the occasional hum of a passing car. The cinnamon bun is gone, eaten slowly, like it deserved, but the warmth it brought lingers, stubborn against the cold. Her question keeps looping in your mind. Do you believe in kindness? You want to dismiss it as just a moment on a bus, but you can't. It's like a pebble dropped into a still pond, small, but the ripples keep spreading. Here's the truth. Kindness doesn't erase the cold. It doesn't fix everything. But it's proof that even in a world that feels rushed, distracted, and sometimes cruel, there are still people who choose to slow down, to notice, to give. Psychologists call this prosocial behavior, the tendency to act for someone else's benefit without expecting anything in return. It's contagious in the best way. You felt it tonight, the shift from guarded to open, from tired to a little more awake. And maybe that's the point. Tomorrow, you'll ride another bus. You'll pass strangers on the street.
Most won't look at you.
But now, you'll know better than to assume that nothing's happening. Somewhere, someone's carrying a cinnamon bun for no one in particular, just waiting for the right moment to give it away. So, do you still believe in kindness? Maybe the better question is, will you practice it even when it feels small, even when the world isn't watching? Because if you do, the next person you meet might be telling your story years from now, about the night they learned kindness still rides the last bus. That's all for today. I will make more videos like this in the future. Subscribe to watch them.